Alrighty, hello everybody, coming at you with a wonderful new Mechabellum video. I figured we'd do some matchmaking, kind of go through some of the games and decisions that were made through just playing online. Of course, we have the big tournament coming up tomorrow. The weekend tournament is on the way, so I figured I would do just a little bit of play to speed up the time a little bit here. So I'm opting for the supply specialist. Not always the best route to go. If the game doesn't last more than 5 turns, it's often not worth it, but I kind of enjoy it. It's definitely not the power pick in most cases. Getting something like the Rhino or the Marksman can make a big difference. The Marksman, of course, being a level 3 unit, and also unlocking Marksman is huge. Seeing what the opponent has here, I've decided I just need some more meat to try and hold the field a little bit. I'm expecting to lose this round just because I don't have enough AoE to really deal with his meat. That is going to be an issue in the future, but it's just something that I thought would be worth playing. Also, if you're in the community, thank you so much. Everybody that I've been playing has been extremely kind. They've been allowing me to post these videos every single time I ask if it's all right to post on YouTube, and I get a 100% yes rate so far, so phenomenal. We see here I'm able to clean up this right flank, not so much on the left. The sniper going down in the middle early was dangerous. He didn't have enough oomph to kind of make it through. We're going to be able to trade here fairly well, chasing down these two towers. Let's speed this up a bit more. It takes a while. Obviously, he's going to win this one. I just don't have the meat and potatoes to take care of these steel balls. Steel balls coming in with quite a bit of armor does make a big difference. Just the high HP stat really does make them quite tanky. Most people don't think about these as being a very good unit. I actually rate them quite highly. Here I'm deciding, do I want to get more marksmen? The answer was yes, just in case he goes heavy into the steel balls. These could make a big difference in the late game. So I'm setting this up. I noticed that a lot of his units are around this tower. This is an interesting setup, and I was kind of thinking, you know what if I'm able to shoot his units and shoot the tower? Would this be good enough to actually take out the enemy? The answer, we'll find out shortly. My opponent opting to upgrade his steel balls, a great idea as these held the line quite well, and getting some artillery units of his own. He just wants to make sure that he shuts down this central sniper. Honestly, kind of unnecessary at this point, but I do like the grit and the gusto. Once again, I'll clean up this right-hand flank. The enemy able to make a much better showing for himself over here on the left, though. Not only that, having these units in the center here will make it a little bit easier. Actually, we held on a little bit longer than I would have thought. These Stormcallers making a big difference here. Just being able to take out those level 2 steel balls, dealing a lot of damage. I believe we will eventually win this, as the enemy just doesn't have enough meat and potatoes to deal with my Stormcallers. However, no, these crawlers are going to die on the way in. A phenomenal try. Very interesting that just 2 Stormcallers really made the difference in between that loss and the win. Able to take out a lot of his crawlers. Now, what am I going to opt to go for here? Obviously, the deployment specialist is fantastic. Getting the crawlers upgraded is also phenomenal. I'm choosing the deployment specialist. What is the opponent going to take here? I believe he ends up taking the subsidized crawlers, but we will check here in a moment. So I've opted to upgrade some of my crawlers just because they're doing quite well for themselves, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to transition to next. The opponent finally selects deployment specialist, deciding that a 3rd unit would be phenomenal. I opt to actually get a few upgrades on my units. I know I have the extra cash, so this doesn't hurt as much. Saving the 50 plus getting another extra 50 basically puts me at the same cost as my opponent for next turn. He opts for 2 level 2 steel balls. Interesting choice. I'm not sure about this one. He's smart, though. He realizes that these Stormcallers are the things that really made the big difference here. Why are all of his units level 2? I thought he picked up the marksman reinforcements. Interesting. I did not notice that when I actually played the game. perhaps it's not showing correctly, but he definitely had the level 3 marksman early. I don't know why his units are coming in at level 2. Mine certainly aren't. We've got a huge deployment in the center. We are going to see a complete collapse again on this left-hand flank, going much quicker. Having those 2 steel balls made a big difference. My little crawly boys able to make a difference here on the right, just chewing through the enemy. Being level 2 does make quite the difference. Shutting down his tower early does help us roll up this flank. We'll see the center go to us as well, but I'm not sure we have enough damage to take out just 10, 3, 6, 9 steel balls. It's going to be too much. Let's speed this up a bit. The Stormcaller's making a lot of damage. Now, once again, I'm noticing that the enemy is just deploying fully in his backline, and that is going to influence my next round of choices. I'm thinking about what's the best way, what do I do to kind of get around his much stronger front line. Obviously, the having more meat would be good. Steel balls, not very good at taking out these crawlers. That's why I upgraded them. I think I'm going to opt for the anti-interface module just because I want some of my crawlers to be able to deal damage immediately. The opponent really thinking about it, he's thinking, what do I want to pick here in order to get rid of him? He ends up going for the missile strike. This I remember. So, what do? I go a little crazy. I decide to choose something slightly cheesy because I think all of his units are going to suffer from this. I don't see any way for him to kind of come back from it. I do opt for the range upgrade on my Stormcallers, just thinking, you know what? These guys are going to shoot. Next turn, he is almost certainly going to put something right here, like some crawlers or something, just to get rid of them. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to let him, I'm going to let these units die. It's a small investment, but it will always hit. Seeing these 2 crawlers come down in the center, oh no, he's going to deploy 1 to the back. If this boy stays in the center, he does not. Opting for more crawlers on the right-hand flank. He knows that's where he's been collapsing, so he's strengthening his weaknesses. You'd love to see it. I get a couple more units, and I am hot to trot. Remember, I was roughly $100 down. Interesting that the sentry missile comes out, but it is not quick enough to take my units out. Boom goes the dynamite. Both of his conduit towers go down. Super powerful for us. Just having no command control, no research centers, we're able to continue moving forward. Not a problem. We are going to see a complete wipe on the right-hand side. These steel balls doing their best, but we now have level 3 crawlers coming in to chew through them. The sniper actually being out-snipered by my level 1 sniper. You hate to see it. And eventually we will just roll up this side. Now the opponent actually put in the chat here, wow, 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 or something along those lines. I remember him being quite a good sport. So really enjoyed playing against him. He had a phenomenal attitude. I'm thinking to myself, what is my next step? I could go with the Wasp Swarms. That's really where I took that pause for a second, just because he doesn't have a lot of anti-air. In fact, the only units that he has are these snipers. The opponent's thinking about it as well. I believe he decides to go for the Wasp Swarm, but we'll wait as we continue to upgrade. I know that these little guys are going to come in clutch later in the game. I'm holding on to both of my units, but I opt for the shield on these frontline crawlers. My idea is they'll get in there, they'll take shots, they'll take damage. They hopefully will survive the first round of impacts from these Stormcallers. With that in mind, I won't be in as much danger. Now he does opt, I was thinking that he would immediately go and just take these out. He does opt to grab some more units, getting more supply. He's going to be supply or low on supply for a little while. Also opting for the strike specialist. This is where we see these crawlers coming in on the left flank and the crawlers right at the center. Obvious choice. I knew that these units were going to die anyways, so I have my crawlers here just to simply eat his crawlers slowly and continue forward. Still unsure why his units are ranked 2. He does not have that specialist, but he's able to deploy one at rank 1. What is going on here? Why are some of his units rank 2 and some not? Oh, duh, he's grabbing the elite recruitment. I'm just a silly boy. Crawlers coming in, dealing damage. The nuke goes off, instantly killing his units off. I was very surprised that they didn't die. Unfortunately, I've made a blunder here, and I gave my Stormcallers the fire upgrade. What I didn't realize is that these Stormcallers would be in range to hit these crawlers that were placed right at the front, and that ends up taking out my front line pretty much completely. Massive blunder on my part that will damage me over time. Now, of course, having the fire here does make a big difference. Slowly burning down these crawlers, these steel balls. We see the sniper and another steel ball going down, but this is going to be a wipe on my flank. I just don't have the manpower to deal with this. So, big mistake on my part. The Stormcallers taking out that tower is still great, but unfortunately, having the my own Stormcallers killing all of my crawlers that initially come in is super bad. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to try and upgrade them. Hopefully this will give them the ability to survive it. Opting for just one more shield, because I'm thinking, what is my next stop? And popping some crawlers over in the back. Just so that way they can survive getting hit. The enemy choosing to shield up heavily, a great idea, knowing that these batteries just keep hammering into him. I was hoping that he would deploy right on the front line, which has not happened, so I'm in a extremely tough spot here. These Vulcans coming down, or a Vulcan coming down, is going to completely clear up this left-hand flank. I have a bunch of snipers that I can upgrade to help deal with this. Also, I do have subsidized marksmen, meaning I can make a transition over to marksman quite quickly. So far, this has been going in my favor, at least damage-wise. I may have lost a few rounds, but we're doing quite well there. We see a sentry coming down here in the center just to take out these crawlers early. That's why I got the shield. The shield allows them to survive any instance of immediate damage. Huge, huge, huge. Unfortunately, once again, my crawlers are all just going to die in the fire. Luckily, though, so are all of his. That just leaves all of the steel balls, which right now I do have an advantage, and my crawlers being slightly more upgraded. So, would have been worthwhile to have them actually doing the business. We see the Vulcan go down. It was just standing in the fire for too long. Vulcans are pretty vulnerable to Stormcallers. They do have a large XP pool, so we have to be thinking about that. When I was playing the match, I was thinking, please, please, just knock out this shield. That's an extra $100 that he has to invest in. It does. Just having those Stormcallers out at the front, they've already won 2 games, or 2 rounds. And now we have the ability to just keep him reinforcing that one spot. It's just going to keep him spending money. It's exactly what we want. I'm opting for the speed just because I want my little guys to get in and out quickly, and I thought to myself, all right, this guy does not really have any anti-air. Let's grab some Phoenixes. Being able to grab 3 at once is phenomenal. I grabbed the quick regen on them too because I figure, you know what? I'm going to need it. They're going to be great at taking out this Vulcan, at taking out the steel balls. They're also going to be phenomenal on these flanks. He doesn't have anything that shoots up besides these 3 snipers. 3 snipers versus 6 Phoenixes could go either way, but fortunately for me, so far, my units have been able to kill at least one of the snipers. I'm thinking to myself that this Vulcan is going to get involved in a big way. I don't know about the Vulcan at this point. I did know about the Vulcan at this point. So I'm thinking to myself, what do I do to protect myself? I didn't realize he would go so heavy into the Vulcans. Normally you see 1, maybe 2. They are quite the investment, and especially since I'm already kind of decimating both sides of the crawlers, my mind may be a little unnecessary, but he chose to go for it anyways. The crawlers coming in, doing great damage, spawning a few more. We're not going to see the fire coming in like we wanted to, but look at these crawlers just chewing up this right-hand flank. As they continue to spawn more crawlers, that will be phenomenal. The left is just losing, unfortunately, but these Phoenixes in the backline are going to make the difference. Knocking out that tower early means all of his crawlers, all of his steel balls are going to be slowly doing nothing. We're even able to make it in with the crawlers into the Vulcan. You don't see that very often, but quite a few surviving the blast. It looks like we might lose the left-hand tower, but that is not an issue whatsoever. The game is won, and this is going to be quite a bit of damage coming out. He is in the death zone. Basically, after 1,200-ish points, you're in a really tough spot. Now, we both had to decide what to do here. I'm not really too interested in several of these just because I'm like, I don't really have any arc lights, so transitioning to an arc light, not really useful at this point. Summoning more crawlers, he already has the Lucifers. I could go for the blast, possibly take out his shields, and possibly take out his towers. Or I could go for the haste module, which would just make my phoenixes stronger. I was in a rough choice here. I also realized that I have significantly more health than the enemy. I don't need to go all out on this one, so I opt for the haste module as well. Thought process behind this, even if I lose, I am unlikely to die. So what I can do is play it slow. I'm not going to get the rapid resupply. I am just going to grab some more phoenixes, upgrade the phoenixes, and keep it calm. I want to see what he does in order to defeat this. I believe he puts out some Mustangs here in a moment, which could make a big difference, at least in taking out these Phoenixes. Now, of course, I pull these Phoenixes back because I figured he would go with a cheap option. Yes, there are the Mustangs coming out. Level 2 Mustangs, he paid for those in order to take out these Phoenixes. A great idea. A little bit of an investment, don't get me wrong, but a great idea. Now, I do have double Phoenix here in order to help clean up this left flank. I have several Phoenixes all throughout the back, and I've spaced them out quite a bit. The idea behind this is that 1 or 2 might go in, they might initially die, but even if they do initially die, I should be able to keep moving forward. Now, we will see that his crawler's coming into mine again, and we eat just so many of them that we're able to continue growing the blob. The left-hand flank is still looking like a loss. The Phoenixes just don't have enough oomph to push through a lot of these steel balls quickly, but eventually we'll clean it up. We have one Mustang here sitting in the fire. He's going to burn away. Luckily, the Stormcaller fire is enough to continue through this and just keep cooking it. Now, I do have a lot of Phoenixes. He currently has a sniper left. This will be a win on my side. There's not really much that the enemy can do about it, so let's just speed this up a bit. Oh, actually, you know what? He has 2 snipers. Both Phoenixes going down on the side. We will see what looks to be 6 Phoenixes spawn in. Now we're up to 5, 7. It looks like we could still win this. This sniper is going to take an issue, but we do have level 2 Phoenixes spawning. They do take 2 shots from the sniper. These steel balls are not going to be able to hold the line with their HP, and the Phoenixes are able to take out the sniper. Now, something that I'd like to see happen a little bit more is for units to fire at units that can hurt them. Either ground to air or air to ground. Right now, all aerial units will prioritize units that are on the floor, which does not really help in any fashion. It just kind of slows things down. Now, I'm going to grab this Rhino here just because I want to be able to keep him on his toes. I even use it here, kind of unfortunately. I think I should have saved this. I go for mass upgrades, once again thinking, you know what, I am not going to die. I'm going to wait and see what his transition is. He spent a lot of money, a lot of supplies. He's constantly working from the rear. He does have quite a few supply specialists. He's got the Vulcan range, but less HP. The range is going to make a little bit of a difference here. Still, the Chod Wars aren't really what's worrying here. I opt to upgrade quite a few of my Phoenixes, and I place 2 units of sneaky crawlers here in the back. I've noticed that the crawler swarms are eventually going to make a difference here. So I'm kind of positioning myself for the win. I also decided to grab the tactical nuke. I have won almost every game at this point, but I don't know if... I just figured, you know what, he's probably going to nuke me back. This being most likely his end times. So why not just try and preempt it? The tactical nuke is a great way to finish out the game. I'm thinking even if I lose, I might want to bank these $50. Remember, I do get an extra $50 a turn. Having double crawler on the flank is great. Having this Rhino come down, I think it's going to die. I understand that. However, I believe that it will delay some of these Mustangs. All of these Mustangs, which is enough. Now remember, when that turret goes down, it does slow units, which makes a big difference. The engagement in the center is just a huge bloody mess. It does not look like the nuke is going to catch many units, unfortunately. But we are able to kind of just fall apart. The enemy pushing forward, very strong. Lots of damage probably coming in here. This could be real hard. I do have these Phoenixes continuing to survive, but they are very weak due to the loss of the research station. My command center about to go down. I don't have enough Phoenixes to make this work, and we're looking at a devastating loss. The Max Mustang making a big difference. Also, he opted to just grab a few more of his own Stormcallers in an earlier round. That does make a difference. So, that was pretty devastating. Now we're both pretty much at death's door, and I'm getting a little nervous. I'm thinking to myself, what do I do here? I end up opting to grab the heavy hacker, thinking if I could turn these Vulcan in my favor, that could be a good idea. But you know what? I'm like, what do I actually need to survive this? I need him to pull units off. I need to clear his units, and I need to let my little guys do what needs to be done. So I opt instead to start thinking about potentially choosing a crawler transition. I grabbed 3 rhinos to move over to my flanks just so that I can clear this away. I would have liked to have put a rhino near the front, and I do so. We see the enemy grabbing just a ton of upgrades, a wonderful idea. Because his strategy won, he might as well lean into it more, and he opts to grab a few more Mustangs. Now, these Mustangs are going to make a big difference. However, my Rhino is going to be pretty darn safe against it, and this is where I start paying into these crawlers. Having them attack more often, having more attack, and then also having them spawn more crawlers. Those crawlers do also have the upgrade, so we're in a significantly better position in this case. He's going to grab the life leech on these steel balls. Very good move. I don't really have many units with high HP though, so they won't really be spawning very many. My crawler's coming in here, dealing some damage. We are going to continue to spawn. And look at this wave come in. Fantastic here on the right. It looks like the enemy's going to push through heavily on the left once again, but the entire right-hand flank is going to me, left-hand flank going to the enemy. Now, these Mustangs on the left are going to be able to deal with my Phoenix, as they are going to be shooting at the ground, even at their weakened state. And we're slowly just going to dominate with these crawlers. I knew that the Phoenixes had been caught. I didn't want to go into air anymore. Those Mustangs making a big difference, even having the anti-aerial upgrade. And he thought about, what if I transition to motherships? A great idea. I will lose my command center here, but it's a little too late, and the game is ours. A fantastic game. I wanted to point out Leon here just was an amazing opponent. Real great comeback story on his part. That was close. If you're interested in watching more content, I'll be posting every single day. So talk to you guys soon.